Today we're going to look at fractional, negative, and zero indices. And the focus today is, can I evaluate the different types of indices? So you can see I spread it into three different categories: developing, emerging, and mastery. The very first one is, can I solve zero and fractional indices? The second one is, can I solve for negative indices? And last one, can I solve problems with fractional, negative indices in combined form? So for the very first one, it's developing. Can I solve for zero and fractional indices? Look at these ones. I've kind of given you the answers already, but I want to explain to you briefly. Here, anything to the power of 0 will give you 1. The common mistake here is that people think anything to the power of 0 will be 0. That's wrong. The second one, 4 to the power of 1 over 2 is 2, and the third one is 27 to the power of 1 over 3 is 3. As a reference, if you look at here, this 2 means square root. So if you look at the 4, you're going to get 2. And if you look at the 3, it means cube root. So 27 goes back to 3. So whenever you have a 1 over 2 or a power of 1 over 3, think of it as square root or cube root. For the next one, emerging, I can solve for negative indices. Now if you look at here, what happened between the very first one and the second one is that the negative flipped this upside down, or otherwise known as reciprocal. Once you've done the negative to turn into this, you now do the bottom bit, 2 to the power 2 to give you 4. Same thing with this one. The very first thing is, if you see a negative, flip it or do the reciprocal, then you do 4 to the power 5 and you get your answer. Mastery. Now these are a little bit complicated, so it goes to stages. The very first thing is, you see something like this, you see a fraction, and people get scared. But don't worry, you do it in stages. The very first thing is you tackle the negative, and as I said before, you flip it. But if it's already in a fraction, all you need to do is flip the numbers upside down. Or in the other case, you use reciprocal. Afterwards, you go to 1 over 2. And remember what I said about the 1 over 2? It really means to square root it. So square root of 9 gives you 3. Square root of 2, or square root of 4, gives you 2. In the second case, same thing. Approach the negative as your reciprocal. So flip it, then you do the bottom bit of the cube root. So 27 cube root will give you 3, and 125 cube root will give you 5. Lastly, this is where you combine quite a lot of things together. Same deal though. Approach the negative, so you flip it. Notice how this remains the same? Well, if you're going to be smart about this, you want to cube root first, so you work with a small number, instead of squaring it. So in this case, you cube root this to become 3 over 5. So you've done your negative, you've done your cube root, now you need to do your square. So 3 squared will be 9, and 5 squared will be 25. So in summary, anything to the power of 0 is 1. When you have a negative power, it means reciprocal, or in this case, flip it upside down. Also works for fractions. When you have powers to 1 over 2 or 1 over 3, it means either square root or cube root. Lastly, when you have a multiple of rules together, first do the negative, so you flip it first, then root it, then approach the final power. So in this case, do the negative to flip it, then you do the cube root, then you square it. Here are some questions for you to try. Pause it if you want to have a go. Here are the answers. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. The square root of 9 is 3. The cube root of 125 is 5. For these ones, you do the negative first, which flips it, then you do the square. So in this case, 1 over 16, 1 over 27, and 1 over 125. For the last bit, remember to do the negative first, so you flip this one, then you square root it, so square root of 9 is 3, square root of 25 is 5, then you do the cube to give you 27 over 125. Same thing for here, do the negative first, then do the cube root, then you square it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.